Well, it has been some time. But trust me, this time I will not take 3 years to make a next one. I want to show you what I did the past months, a world building project with a focus to feature more gameplay elements, but I will also talk about the ecology of the creature and explain my thoughts and show concepts along the way, even things that were scrapped. I hope you enjoy this little project. The lands of Terza are wild and fascinating, from windy ice fields to hot volcanic hellscapes. Every corner of this planet will tell a story, have legends and mystery, and creatures that roam the lands they call home. Humans also call Terza home. They live alongside beasts and nature, slowly rebuilding and forming a new way of living to prevent what happened decades ago. Over 40 years back, mankind were killed by a creature called crobo, also known as the body thief. A parasite that burrows underneath the skin with the serrated heads, quickly reproducing inside the host using their protein-rich blood. The crobo evolved a quite special way to take over the host. The male crobo will grapple onto muscle, not to replace them, but to enhance the strength of the host and take full control. While the male crobo increases muscle and body size, the rare female crobo secretes a substance into the body that raises the host's healing capabilities. Shattered bones mend together in seconds, and deep cuts fuse shut without losing much blood. But the worm never grown used to a human body, so they grew muscles on muscles, creating human beast, still alive, thinking, feeling, but looking like ugly deformed masses of walking flesh. Humans fled into unknown cold or hot areas of Terza, leaving homes and burning villages that were full of infected humans. Few brave individuals were fighting back, but with no win in sight, not having the strength and watching them regenerate on the spot after landing a single blow. Humanity was doomed, and people scattered around the globe, hiding in cold caves from beast and man alike. But a handful stumbled into an area deep in the jungles of Terza, where a tribe of humans lived, their bodies strong and tall, branded with ink, showing the worms not as evil, but as a final trial. The tribe found a cave where the worms were living, with a plant that dripped down sap into the soil. The sap turned the worm from a hostile body-snatching evil into a docile protector. It was not without a risk. Some died in the process of obtaining the crobo. Some turned into the beast humans everyone feared. But the ones whom survived the trial started a new life. Sadly, the sap of the plant was not only working on worms, it also had an effect on humans, wiping most of the memories, forgetting most what they knew about Terza and the people around them. The tribe called it Gnavono, a new life. So the tide shifted. Humans became hunters, killing every crobo-ridden human they could not save and restore humanity and starting a new era. Now living normal lives all around Terza, working as hunters to protect the villages from wildlife that could swallow a man whole. The older generations of villagers still feared the hunters, resembling what almost destroyed mankind so many years ago. But the fear of giant beasts consuming villages in one bite was greater in this day and age. Our story will end and begin here, in the northern regions of Terza, known as the Snowy Highlands. A cold and dangerous land, with giant mountains piercing the clouds and dark forests, brimming with beasts. The echoing sound of sharp iron hitting wood interrupts the silence. A person surrounded by fallen trees resharpens the dull axe and looking up into the sky. The two suns are slowly setting. The shadows of the highland mountains start to grow. A sudden crack nearby. A beast emerges out of the leaf litter, breathing heavy and looking ill. Looking at the person, waiting, stalking. It attacks and strikes the ground, the movement slow and uncontrollable. With a sharpened axe ready, this fight shall not take long. With a clean hit, the weakened beast goes down. But a sack forms with worms inside, bursting, covering everything in gore and worms. A sharp pain crawls through your body, something is burrowing inside. Your vision slowly blurring, fading, and falling into darkness. You awake, still cramping from all the pain. A voice is calling.
Hey, can you hear me? Wake up.
I'm a big Soulsborne and Monster Hunter fan. I love their games they create. Now and then I have some nitpicks, but they are almost perfect games in my eyes. Titans of Terza will be a Monster Hunter-like, mixed with some elements that people will maybe not like or even hate. And that's okay. I really don't aim to please the masses. This is a game concept that is focused on a type of player who likes a challenge and limited quality of life features. I don't want to make a boring and tedious game, not at all. My plan is to create a world, the creatures and the lore around them, showing attacks, weapons and combat elements, which could be implemented into a game. To be clear, I don't have any experience in game making, or had any opportunities to work in a game studio. This will be just me concepting my dream game like everyone did at one point in their lives. I hope you are as excited as me to see this world take form and shape. The next videos will be structured like this. I start with the beast, telling you about the environment, how it looks and how it behaves, what it eats or hunts and why hunters are hired to scare it away or hunt it down. Then I will go into the gameplay, how it attacks and what the movesets are, what it's resistant against and where the weak points are. And at the end I will talk about how I designed that creature, what was difficult, what was easy, showing sketches and thoughts behind the design. The next videos are planned to be about the hunter and their loyal companion, talking about weapons, armor, healing and general gameplay elements, and the second video will be about a beast, giant in size with big meaty claws and red glowing horns. I always gonna freeball this part with the designs. With some important points, but mostly I'm gonna talk less good, as you heard me before. Maybe more energetic, less monotone, I don't know. So, I started the project March 2023. I wanted to make like always a Monster Hunter like game, but kinda never like started something, I were always talking about making one. But at one point I was like trying to make one, so I started with like a post-apocalyptic like game setting, but I got pretty quickly bored by this. I was like, fuck, this shit always, everyone kind of makes like zombie apocalypse type of shit games, and I kind of wanted to spice it up, but I still tried to stay far away from your typical Monster Hunter setting. So I kind of went into this kind of like, oh no, I can't do fantasy because it will look too much like Monster Hunter. So I kind of still started making like red monsters and scrap like armor pieces, and then I still was not really happy about it. I also made like an evil mutant version of the red. I also kind of created like a spore-like, somewhat like evil virus It's kind of reminiscent of like the frenzy virus from Monster Hunter, if you know what I'm talking about. And I originally called it the Black Whale. I started making different frog monsters to kind of like mimic plant life to kind of trap in hunters. And at that point I really started to get like into like making a fantasy-like Monster Hunter monster game. I redesigned the reds after getting some good feedback by Sachnow, and this is how they kind of turned out. I still like the design, but they feel kind of too much like fantasy creatures that are evil and kind of like only meant to look like they will attack the player. I started also learning about armor design and kind of started improving in the design. It kind of like drove me nuts at one point, so I started making weapon designs that were also kind of like driving me insane, because switching from like creature design to armor design to weapon design kind of sounds like an easy thing to do, but I really appreciate what Capcom or like the Monster Hunter team is doing with their designs, monster-based and armor-based and weapon-based. It's so insane how much thought, design, and really hard work is put into those games. So I did some weapon designs. I kind of wanted to flail. I'm really missing some kind of blunt flail weapons in Monster Hunter. A whip would be also great, but yeah. Moving on, I started to look into like dinosaurs, and I kind of wanted to make like a dinosaur bird-like creature. So I made like different things. I kind of wanted to capture the essence of like a bird without feathers, maybe like an infant, something that will maybe grow later. And then I took a giant break from this project, creating horror art, what I always did, and I'm still doing it. While I was on the break, I created these kind of things. I really liked the tick monsters. I also started making like mosquito-like creatures, like evil druids infesting humans that kind of like are based on parasites or like insects that we in our day and age still deal with, like ticks and mosquitoes. But the project is also again on ice. I don't continue it. Maybe I will continue it later, but now I really focus on Titans of Terza. I came back, I finished the armor pieces, the reds, and I polished everything up, and then I decided to scrap everything. I was starting from a new page, still going fantasy, going Monster Hunter, and really focusing on making the creatures as believable as possible while still designing them as grounded as possible. Still the fantasy aspect of like, oh yeah, those giant creatures could never fly, they could never breathe fire, whatever. This was like a thing that I was still like thinking about. Okay, this is not grounded, but without it, it's kind of boring. So the first creatures will be like oversized, giant, normal animals. So I started to think about the world, how to make it grounded like Monster Hunter, but still be original, not to copy Monster Hunter one-to-one. Even though copying a really good fucking thing is always the key to make a new really good fucking thing. So talking about the crobo worm designs, why I made them and how they came to be. I kinda wanted to explain why the hunters are not killed in a single swipe by a giant dragon, beasts, whatever you want to call them. I will call them beasts to kind of differentiate my creatures with the Monster Hunter creatures, which are monsters in their language. So I will call them always beasts. So yeah, the crobo will be a thing that will explain why the hunter is not killed in a single swipe and can swing oversized giant weapons. These are the crobo sketches. I kind of did different ones. I was still thinking about the veil thing. I had like the thing. I painted everything kind of on stream. we were talking about like making a slug-like creature like your snails with the parasite kind of pulsate, but I kind of found it a little bit too cheap as a design. It kind of like limits me completely, and it kind of looks like a giant weak point you need to strike, and it was a little bit too gamified for me. The term gamified I use is like a thing of like, oh yeah, you see this creature and you see the giant circle pop up and you know you need to strike that point. It doesn't feel like normal human thought of like, oh yeah, what if I strike this part that looks kind of soft but is looking natural and not like a gameplay element. Then I also kind of looked into like my favorite Ghibli film is Princess Mononoke, and I really like the demon design and how the boars are kind of like slowly skeletalizing away, and this demon like substance is growing out of them and still killing them slowly and make them very ferocious, very aggressive. But that was a little bit too much fantasy that I could not back up with like grounded scientific explanations. The tar creature is still kind of like reminiscent of the black veil that I did. And then I also like painted the frenzy virus from Monster Hunter 4 with the Gormagala, and you see like exhaling black smoke, being darkened, having red eyes. It's pretty basic, but it's like a very simple design. It always works. Humans or like every player will know, oh, the creature is darker, so it's stronger. At exhaling, it is exhaling like black smog, fog, whatever you want to call it. It looks more dangerous, and your typical red glowing eyes makes a pretty well-rounded design for being, oh, the creature is frenzied, kill it, it is evil. And then I made like a barnacle virus, but I was like, this is too much sea base and I kind of want to start in the mainland, so I scrapped that. I was also thinking about the slime mold, because slime mold is kind of freaky. I really like it. I made a book based around like molds as a zombie virus, but this is a thing that will... I should scrap this part. So yeah, the slime mold has like some cool visuals, some cool colors that could like be really cool in a game to see like move around, and also pretty grounded in a form of like, oh yeah, this creature is infested by the slime mold and the slime mold is controlling it, like the cordyceps viruses from The Last of Us. Oh, the roided up creature is kind of funny. I just like was thinking, oh, what if steroids on a creature design? And it's a simple design, but I couldn't like made a story on the spot why the creature is roided up. So, and then I got like the perfect idea. I was looking for like parasites, and we kind of got like everything out, but then I remembered the fucking thing named hairworms, and my fucking god, they look amazing as a visual. You can really distinguish like a creature. You have like cool elements that kind of like drape down or spike up. You can like have different versions of that worm. That worm could be poisonous. That worm can be parasitic. Oh wait, the worm is parasitic. It what is the fucking word? Oh yeah, the word, what I'm telling. The worm could like maybe paralyze you with a special toxin, so the creatures can always change based on the worm that kind of like inherit. So the crobo that is right now like defeated by humanity. So yeah, really liked it. I could make the creature bigger, stronger, and then I kind of figured out, oh, what if the worm is not destroying the host, but it's enhancing the host to kind of hunt bigger creatures, to kind of get into a next host who is bigger, who has more blood, so they can always expand and kind of regrow their populations based on the host. So that's why they kind of infest creatures. Maybe the creatures hunt bigger creatures That's why they kind of need to increase the body size, the muscle mass, and to regrow also. And now this was the perfect concept. So I could like have it like, oh, it's maybe a revive mechanic, and it's also the mechanic that kind of provides the hunter with superhuman strength that is explained why they are so strong to wield such giant weapons. And then I also kind of made like, oh, what if the creature just dies and is defeated, but also kind of forms like a giant pus-like bubble, and different carnivores that kind of like are opportunistic feeders that kind of like sniff out carrion, because like, why leave a giant rotting corpse not eaten? So maybe the creature dies and the giant sack of worms kind of inflates, and the male worms kind of like circle around and kind of squeeze it like a zit or like a pimple, and if a creature is next to it, they just burst and kind of start infecting the next creature to it. And the revive mechanic was like, oh, what if person fades and the worms come out and the creature sees like, oh no, the person is infected with those evil worms, because not only humans were infected by this virus, by this parasite. Creatures were also infected by it. So maybe the creatures kind of developed a thinking brain of like, oh, that's bad, I go away. So these are some different crobo sketches. I want to make it like maybe burrowing down like a fucking drill, being flat as like a flatworm. I also was thinking about like tapeworms. Tapeworms were also like a big inspiration, but then I kind of like figured out, oh yeah, we already have like parasitic worms that control a host going somewhere, like the crickets are like drowning themselves and then releasing all those worms into the water that get consumed again by different creatures. But yeah, I made a male and female. You can see the male has like a hooked pincer on the tail, but I kind of redesigned it to be like some very sharp hooked little thorns that kind of like attach to already existing muscles. So yeah, and bigger pincers to kind of like pinch down at the bigger muscle group, or like the initial muscle group in the human body, or like just be capable of just holding on to muscle mass, or like just pulling skin together if the hunter or like the infected creature is sliced open by something. And the females kind of reproducing like mosquitoes still do with our blood. They need the protein to create offspring, so it kind of was a given. This is also kind of grounded in reality. So yeah, this is like what I did the past 4 months. Every day I created a lot of different creatures. I am thinking about expanding the map. I kind of want to make like a giant Monster Hunter like game. Like I said, in the next video we'll present the hunter, the loyal companion, how the system works, and the second video will be about a big giant beast you could maybe hunt. Who knows? What the fuck? Finally done. Sorry about not making any videos. It's always so damn scary and frustrating to start and finish a video, because it takes so much time and my perfectionism always kicks my ass at the end, or midway, or even at the start. But I'll try to make it as cool and easy as possible, so I can be more chill and not burn out, and you can enjoy more of this stuff. Talking about seeing more stuff, I'll try to launch a Ko-fi. If you don't know what a Ko-fi is, it's like a Patreon, where you can see all the sketches, images I created for this video and future videos. And I wanted to ask you what you want to see as a reward for supporting me and the creation of Terza. I really don't know what people want for supporting a content creator or an artist on Ko-fi, aka Patreon. So please write down in the comments below what you want to see and have at the end. Like sketches, maybe future tutorials about a certain thing, seeing the video earlier a week, or I see people like to get shout-outed at the end. I don't know if you want to see that too. Sorry if I sound a little bit monotone here, I'm recording that shit for like the past 2 hours, so my voice is slowly fiddling away. So, big thanks to Pexels, all the photos and videos used are from that site. They really helped me out, finding inspiration, fleshing out Terza. I'm not sponsored, just saying thanks and giving credit. Amazing site, really easy to download things and kind of like look at stuff. Amazing photographs and video photographers. And this kind of fucking sounds like a sponsorship, but it's not, trust me. And speaking of giving credit, the music you could hear throughout the whole video is made by the brilliant Vindsvept. Please giving him a listen. I bet you already heard some of his amazing work throughout YouTube, because this guy is he's carrying the fucking fantasy music scene through whole YouTube. I listen to his tracks like on a daily basis. And I want to thank you enduring my shit talking through mostly half of the video, so